All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's basketball Officiate Michigan Day presentation. It's going to be presented by Decker Haynes of the Van Cal Officials Association and will be on legal and illegal screens. I will turn it over here to him in just a moment, but please make sure that you're muting your mic if you're, unless you have a question or a comment to make, and then you remute it when after your comment or question has been made. I'll continue to let folks in to the meeting throughout as they join. All right, Decker, go ahead, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Decker Haynes here. I think we have a question from T. Is there? I got a hand up already. I don't know if that's a question. I'll keep going. So as Brent said, Decker Haynes here from the Van Cal Officials Association talking about legal and illegal screens. Thanks to Brett for helping to reformat the slides so it looks really, really good. So a little short presentation on really a key concept for basketball officials. And so, start off by looking at the importance of officiating screens. Why is this a really important topic for basketball officials in a game of basketball? Several reasons. One, as you know from maybe playing a game or being an official for a while, it doesn't take too much to understand that illegal screens provide a tremendous advantage to the offense. I mean, cutters can go free, people coming off the dribble. I mean, get a clear path to the basket if you're allowed to simply move people out of the way and let them go. So it's a tremendous advantage. And that's, not by the rules of our game. Part of our mantra is to have a fair game, equal opportunity, offense, defense. So illegal screens provide a tremendous advantage to the offense. Another reason is it can be a source of increased physical play. I remember doing a JV game back in the day, probably 15, 20 years ago, screening offense, two-person crew, and it got very, very physical, and we're just doing the best we can to catch all the screens. We've seen even fights come about because of screening action not being taken care of. So this can create a really, really messy, ugly game if we're letting, screens be set illegally and a lot of physical, contact going on, illegal physical contact. So that's another real good reason you want to control your game, get the screens. Another challenge with screening is it often occurs off ball and out of sight of many watching the action on the ball. I mean, people go and watch a basketball game, they're ball watching. Now we know as officials, especially in a three-person crew, certainly also in a two-person crew, we've got to be, if we're off ball, we got to be concentrating on our primary coverage areas and, looking off ball. And in many times we may call an illegal screen and you literally get some strange looks from coaches because they didn't see it. But, it's absolutely essential that we do, again, for the reasons listed. So, if all we're doing is kind of looking on ball the whole time, we miss this stuff. It's an advantage to the defense, and we can get some illegal, increased physical play. And this definitely, as I said, requires a commitment to off-ball officiating. And that's really, really important for the screens. So we'll start off with some definitions of screens and walking through the actual rules. Then I'll show you some basic slides, some play picks, and then I've got about 12 videos we'll go through and look at some actual screening action and say, hey, was that a right call, right no call? What does it look like in kind of real time? So
Decker, real quick, if I could you increase the volume just a little bit? I don't know if it's on your computer or if you could just speak up a little bit.
I can certainly. Is that a little better? My volume's up. Is that better, Brent?
Yeah, a
You're
little
coming
bit
in fine for me.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So, screen by, rule 440 is the screening rule with, I think there's 8 articles. So the very first article, Article 1, says it's a legal action. So a screen is a legal action by a player who, while touching the playing court, so very important definition we'll see here, you got to be on the playing court. You got to be in bounds to actually set a legal screen. without causing contact. Causing contact. Contact may occur, but you can't cause contact when setting the screen. And the whole, again, the purpose of the screen is to delay or prevent an opponent from reaching a desired position. So, I mean, the goal is to get the cutter free. The goal is to get the dribbler free. You just got to do it according to the rules, in the right way. So that's the key. So how do we establish a legal screen? So Article 2 says, okay, we know what a screen is. How do we actually establish a legal screening position? One, the screener can face any direction. So, you don't have to be facing in a certain direction. Time and distance, as we'll talk about in some further rules, are very, very important. Screener must be stationary, with one exception. If everybody's, moving the same path, there can be what's called a moving legal screen. I got a play pick, a picture of that. You don't see that very often, but again, there's no contact, but you aren't stationary. Third thing, the screener must stay within his or her vertical plane with a stance approximately shoulder width apart. So what is approximately shoulder width apart? Judging by the shoulders, a little bit outside, or they really sticking the leg out, way outside the frame. And this is where the judgment of the official comes in. They could be stationary, but they got their foot sticking way out and essentially tripping the opponent. That's caused the call for an illegal screen. Coach asked the question, and you can say, Coach, they were outside shoulder width apart. Some more on establishing legal screen. So here, this is a legal screen. Short of contact, number 12 sets it. That is legal. Illegal, again, not within the frame. Got their foot stuck out. And that foot is also out of bounds. So in this case, again, you got to be on the playing court. So even if 12's there well in advance, they give plenty of space. It does look like her foot's out a little bit, so you could get it for that. But the other important thing on this play pick is she's out of bounds. So even if you're there for, forever and you get run into, it's still going to be a team control foul, block. It's an illegal screen. The same goes, different topic as a player control foul. If you're establishing legal guarding position, you got to be in bounds. So a good little tie into that particular rule. Another one here, again, you can't push, create the contact. So in this case, number 12, leaning forward, creating that contact. We'll see some stuff in real time here in a little bit. So you cannot move into an opponent. This is a foul. And this is probably the most common one we see on the illegal screens. We see them coming up, and they're not stationary. They aren't set, and they lean into somebody, and that is, creating the contact, which a legal screener cannot create the contact. So if you're from the front or side within the visual field, so if the opponent can see the screener, and it's not you seeing the screener, it's can the opponent from where they're at see the screener? So here are the rules for that. Anywhere short of contact. So they can be right next to them without making contact. That is legal as long as they're within the visual field. So here's an example. This is legal. 12 again is right up on 3, short of contact. This is legal. There's 2 players setting a screen, double screen. Again, as long as they are short of contact within the visual screen of the visual field of the screener, we're okay. Now, what if it's outside the visual screen, which is defined in the rules as being behind? So if you're outside the visual field, that means the opponent can't see the screener. So it's kind of a surprise, and you've seen this in games, right? All of a sudden you're guarding and they smack into someone. Well, what are the rules for that? Well, the rules for that, you've got to allow one normal step backward. So if it's, for the, they say behind, really it's anything beyond the visual field of the opponent. got to allow that. So it's not just sort of contact. So time and distance are relevant. So in this case, distance is relevant. There's got to be a space, one normal step without making contact. So here's an example behind it. Is she one normal step? Doesn't appear 5 is one normal step. But here's the caveat. You can't call 5 for a foul because they're within one step. They're setting a blind screen because there's no contact. When there's contact, so in this case, if 4 turns around, runs smack into 5, and 5 didn't give that one normal step, then you can call a foul. Being in an illegal screening position is not a foul. There has to be contact for the foul to occur. So that's another key part of the rule as well. So 5 is not setting a legal screen here. It is illegal, but it's not illegal in terms of the rule, putting air in a whistle until there's contact. So 4 just goes around, there is no contact, there is no foul. So we've covered, within the field of vision, outside the field of vision, well, both stationary. What about a moving opponent? And Article 5 talks about a moving opponent. So in this one, it's not just distance, it's time and distance. And the screener shall allow the opponent time and distance to avoid contact so that the opponent can stop or change direction. A few caveats. Again, speed is important. So, the flow of the game, how quick the players are, that's going to determine where the screener may take his or her stationary position. And the position is going to vary, again, based on the athleticism, the speed of the game, time and distance are important. It may be 1 to 2 normal steps. And again, bigger players, varsity level, those strides get bigger than you perhaps have in a lower level game, even a middle school game, freshman level game, JV game. Again, different classifications of schools, different size players. So a lot of judgments involved with this concept of officiating screening. So here's the moving opponent. 1's got the ball, 15's looking to set the screen. Again, 15 can't walk up, moving, and set the screen. Of course, 10 gives us a good rendition, a little drama there. But that is, if you back it up, I can back it up. 15 is below the free throw line, and then he steps up near the free throw line, the elbow there, and sets that screen again well outside their shoulder frame, and clearly causing contact and freeing up the dribble driver. In that case, that's a foul. You cannot move into opponent. Got to get that foul. Now here's the one where you're moving in the same path and direction. So where it's a legal, the book actually talks about it being a legal moving screen. And here's the play pick. We'll see it here in a second. So if you're running, the player behind is responsible for contact because the player behind can see. So this is one of those, sometimes tough calls when the player in front stops, slows up, or stops, and the player behind runs them over. In that case, the foul's on the player behind because they're responsible for the contact. Kind of almost like, in the driving your car, right? If you rear end somebody, generally you get a ticket because you were supposed to be able to stop. Very similar mantra in basketball. So in this case, again, 10, 12, and 10 are it's a legal moving screen. If 3 runs into the back of 10 because 10 stops, the foul would be on 3. So again, you don't see this a whole lot. Not a lot of teams are probably that much skilled. Doesn't really happen that much in the game. The rule book even talks about it being on a rare occasion that this happens. But there's no foul here. Again, for a legal moving screen, there's no contact, so you can kind of run interference without making contact. But if 10 or 12 stop and 3 runs them over, then it would be a foul on 3. Speaking of contact, so Article 7 talks about contact. So within the visual field, the player being screened is expected to avoid contact. So if the player sees the screen, the player can't just bowl through the screen and say, oh, sorry, you're in my way. That doesn't work. You've got to go around the screener, can't go through them. Outside the visual field, there's a much more likely occurrence of inadvertent contact because it's kind of a blind screen, it's outside. Even 1 or 2 normal steps at a high rate of speed, there could be some contact, especially if you're running rapidly, and that contact, as the book says, may be severe. And sometimes you'll see that, and you'll see coaches, fans, people yell, "Oh my word, look at that." But it very well may be nothing, because according to the rules, if you set that screen outside the visual field and you give the 1 or 2 normal steps within the rules, and the player's running and doesn't see the screener, it could be, I've seen this multiple times. And, sometimes you want to put a whistle on it, but then you got to think about, well, what's the rule? Well, the rule is that may not be a whistle. And the rules give us that option. They kind of say, hey, the rule is the contact may be severe as long as the rules pertaining to the setting of the screen are adhered to. So just because there's severe contact, on a screen doesn't mean there has to be a whistle. This is the importance of the official talking about seeing the whole play. We got to see the play start, develop, and finish. So if we're catching this on the back end, we might think, oh my word, there's got to be a foul there. But if we're really good officials, we're in our primary coverage areas, we're looking at plays start, develop, and finishing, we get this play right. And we don't put air in our whistle when we don't need to, and we do when we do. So this is incidental contact, provided the opponent stops or attempts to stop. So if they're trying to stop and there's that contact or tries to move around, and the screener's not displaced, if they have the ball, there may not be a whistle. Again, your judgment is what's important here, and it's really, again, important to see the entire play develop. That's why it's really important, especially in all crews, really, but especially in three-person crews, off-ball officiating, staying in your primary coverage area and saying, look, I know the ball's not in my area. I'm not watching the ball. I know where the ball's going to go. I'm watching this off-ball stuff and getting the screening action correct. And then finally, Article 8 talks about, the opponent being screened can't force their way through. So you can't use arms, hips, shoulders, force their way through the screen. We've seen this, that would be a foul on the defense, right? That you can't force your way through a screen. So usually, we're taught to officiate the defense. Sometimes with screening, we got to look at the offense first, perhaps. Is the screen legal? And then we're picking up the defense if they're trying to slam through that screen. You can't hold the screener, push the screener aside, move them out of the way. All that nonsense is no good. So here's an example, that's illegal. You got these 2 guys almost locking arms, not letting them through and holding them back. You can't do that. You have to let them go around. Can't force through. So 10 and 12 are setting the screen. Their arms aren't locked. They're just real close. The other player, I don't know the number, you can't try to force through that screen. 12 and 10 can't hold them, and the player in white can't force through. So in terms of officiating, you got to say, okay, what's really going on? Are they holding them, or is the defense trying to force through? And again, you got to see the whole play. Got to see the initial screen being set, and then the activity that happens, because these are physical plays. So in this case, you'd rule foul for trying to force through the screen. You'd rule foul on the player in white. So let's practice. We'll do some videos here. I'm gonna play clips where play picks were incorporated. Let's do some videos. So let's go ahead. We got 12 of these. We'll go through. We'll watch for the screen. Get this, and we'll hit play. Got a player setting the screen up top, kind of rolling off. Later on, the girl gets open. Here it is again, setting the screen. So questions, did she stop short of contact? Maybe. Whose primary coverage area? Probably the center. A Trail, who is nicely positioned out on the floor, probably can help as well. In this case, they had no problem with it. They did not rule a foul. Any thoughts on that clip? I can play it again quick. Let's play it again. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, was the screener ever set?
I don't know. It looks like she was somewhat still moving a little bit when she said it. Again, did she stop short of contact? It's a fast moving game. That's a good question. Was she set? I mean, the
Well,
center.
so you're saying you can screen all day illegally as long as you don't touch somebody. You can have
it's not an
two
illegal
guys
screen until it's
like football linemen just blow down court, and as long as they don't touch anybody, it's not an illegal screen.
Yeah, there has to be contact for it to be an illegal screen. There has to be contact.
Okay.
On this particular play too, I mean, there's no, the player doesn't try to even get to their opponent. They kind of switched on that play.
Right.
I'm definitely letting this one go. There's no way I'm calling an illegal screen on that one because they're not trying to fight through anything. They stuck with that opponent and switched opponents on the defense.
I'm with you. I don't think there's anything here. I mean, they kind of almost ran into each other, rolled off. There was no this part. I don't know why this clip has the extra part. That was after the screen. That was one who has the ball now. Actually, is the one that then went through the second time. But the actual screen we're talking about is the one up front. So I'm with you. I think this is a good no call. But again, this is stuff you're going to see and you want to think about out there. Let's go to our next clip. So some questions here. Who initiates contract? Was it sort of contact? Was the player in the visual field, so they may have a little more allowances? Things to think about in this clip. So I'll go ahead and roll it. Foul was on 15 blue, called by the Trail official. Thoughts on this one? I'll roll it again.
In this one, the defender definitely tries to get around the screen, but they're prohibited from doing that by 15 sliding down with her.
Yeah, I
So
think
illegal
15,
screen. Good call.
Yeah, 15 hedged, I think. Yeah, she passed it. She sat there and she kind of went with her. Not so sure she was, short of contact.
Yeah, there's no contact there.
Oh, no, there's contact. I think when she said it, I think she actually moved into her when she said it. I mean, or it was, and was it outside the visual field? And in some cases, you could argue she was sort of below her peripheral, so probably need to give a little bit more before contact. So I agree. I think it's a pretty good call. I mean, it's good, good
Hey,
signaling.
Decker,
Yes.
you got to understand on these screens, it's a advantage.
Right.
What that is, and that this pick and the last pick, there was no disadvantage to the defender or the offensive player, and in this pick there is.
Right.
Okay.
He gets a better path to the basket because of that screen. So that's why I think this is a good call. Even if 15 was almost, it wasn't. In this particular case, there was a significant advantage gained, and it wasn't completely legal. So I think I agree, Jim. This is a foul. All right, next one. Let's go to the next one. This is hit play on this one. Watch the low post. Watch 20 in white. Doesn't look like a whole lot. We'll see it again here, but watch 20 in white down here in the low post. Again, 20 and white appears to what? Move into the other player, creates a significant advantage on the roll. And, you know, the lead official, I think properly, you know, gets that foul. I mean, that official is looking dead on. Good off-ball officiating. I mean, you know, balls, he's watching that screening action. Ball comes into the post and he's got it. He knows he's got help from the center on the spin, right? You know, he's looking on that backside. This is a great call. And you know, because she definitely prevented her from turning with the player and was not in a proper legal screening position. So thoughts on this one? We'll go to our next one. I thought that was a really good. So here's another one. Again, talk about advantage. Did the offensive player perhaps try to get out of the way? How much contact is there? Here's, you know, 22 kind of runs in. So this is the screen right here. Here's 32 coming up to set this. Thoughts on this one?
I think this one should have been called offensive foul. She's never really stopped. She bumps into her, there's contact, and then she's spinning, gaining an advantage in the post.
That appears to be a design play. It's she's screening to roll into her spot.
Right. Is the screen legal? How much? I mean, I don't know if the coach upset about this particular play or upset about what, but
Decker?
This is a tough one. Yep, go ahead.
Not only do we have to be cognizant of the initial contact of the screener, but then also as they attempt to roll, in this case as well, they seem to be gaining an advantage by blocking the defender out right there.
Yeah. Did she hold her when she rolled? Yeah. Did she hook her? That's
yes.
I mean, this initial one, I mean, kind of ran into her. The defender's still on. Then she gets the low post, is able to spin right away.
Because now she's set up in the post, having gained from that advantage of the screen.
Yeah, but it was her own screen.
Yeah, it was her own screen.
Yeah.
It's early in the game. You get that early, and that'll clean it up.
Right. So this is first quarter. We're 4-point game. I mean, I guess it's first half. This is probably a school. This is probably a state doing halves, I assume, 18-minute halves or something. Not a whole lot of contact though. So that this is a tough and a two-person crew, by the way. If you look, only two officials on this game. You know, is that incidental or is that a significant advantage?
Well, really, if you technically look at this, the person in white doesn't initiate contact. If there's contact, it's made by the person in the dark uniform. That person in white just stops short, then rolls. She's got a right to do whatever she wants to. She can run up in the stands if she wants to. She's got a right to go over wherever she wants. She stops short of the person in black. She rolls to the basket.
Yeah, it doesn't appear
a smart play than it is some type of violation.
Yeah, and I don't see any hooking.
The problem is this, I think. If you don't call screens that are moving, then you're going to be in between on this all the time. To set a screen, a person's got to be set and within their shoulders. You start this stuff, and that's why the guy might be raising his hands, because he's like, last week, this is called 15 times against us.
Right.
I agree with that to a point, but the other consideration here is the girl, when she sets the screen, rolls towards the hoop on a switch. There's no effort by the defender to stay with the ball handler. I think where that becomes an illegal screen we absolutely have to have is if she's going under that screen and still attempting to guard the girl with the ball. But on the roll, she's almost holding the cutter. I know someone said that they thought the offense was making contact on the roll. I don't believe that to be true. I think the defender's on her back at that point.
Yeah.
You got to be careful not to call the marginal stuff too. I mean, to me, this is marginal. I'm not going to call this an illegal screen. We're all going to have our opinion on this one, but there was no advantage gained. The defense stayed between the offense and the basket. You can see that she rolled to the post. The defender was right there. No advantage gained on this one. It's marginal. I'm letting it go.
Yeah, I happen to agree. I think this is one of those ones where, again, but this illustrates just, how difficult this, how, you can break these down, but I mean, that's a difficult part of our game. I mean, block charge is what they say is one of the hardest calls, in basketball, but, a close second has got to be the screening action because, and again, it's happening. These are athletes, at a higher rate of speed. So another one, we'll get another one here. Kind of looks like she wants to set the screen here and then, and backs up, says, oh no, you're there. Thoughts on this one?
The defender was not disadvantaged.
I mean, how much contact was there? I mean,
Minimal.
She went right through it, got to the double team. I mean, she literally just ran right over the top of it. It looks like she can right over the top of that screen. The double team up top.
Minimal to no contact.
I mean, if anything, the white player, by trying to set that screen, put her teammate in a great disadvantage by allowing the double team to happen.
This looks to me like one of those calls where it's 2-0,
right?
And it's a guide. Hey, this is something I might have to look for later on in the game.
Right, but is this your first foul of the game?
Heck no.
I mean, so I think that one's pretty straight. What, can you go next slide? So here's one. Watch. I think it's right here, up here. I think it's where this one's at. Again, some of these are 2-person crews. So, who's responsible for this screen? Who's looking? 25 setting that screen up top. Any issues with that screen at 25 just set?
She kind of looks like she got there, right?
It looks like he got there.
Or he got there.
Little bit more than shoulder width apart, maybe had his arms up. But looks to me like mostly equal pressure. Didn't push the guy out. I mean, they kind of just played kind of through it. The lead, I get the lead credit. The lead pinched over to kind of take a look at that. So the lead did pinch over to look at this. Did it really materialize in any great advantage? Not really. It looks like he was short of contact. Again, visual field, not visual field, pretty close there. 0-0. We're 13 seconds into the game. Is this your first foul? Is that your first foul on 25? I don't think so. I think that's actually a good no call. I mean, maybe again, your radar's up in terms of, hey, we got to make sure we're watching the screens on this, but this to me looks like a legal play. Other thoughts on that?
Might be a good one to be vocal on and let him know, hey,
set that screen,
set your picks, hold it, and stop being so handsy, because he looks handsy all the way down into the lane, even there.
So set it. Again, some folks say time of game doesn't matter. I'm kind of a proponent of there's something to be said for getting the feel for the game as it starts. Obviously, not going to pass anything that's 100%. But we got to be smart. But good. Again, I applaud the lead. Kind of pinched over a little bit to take a look at that. I think he definitely saw it, so that was good. So here's our next one. Again, 2-person crew here. Let's see about this screen. Where am I? There it is. Let's see about this one. Up top, there's a screen. So we're up top. Thoughts on that one?
Look good.
One normal step. Looked like
Yeah, I mean, the defender hops before he even hits the screen. So I think there's definitely one step there.
Yep, is outside of it, kind of outside the visual field, a little bit behind, but he did hop. Again, 2-person crew. This is a, you know, you got the ball handler, and you got to also expand your vision to get that screener coming up. But it looks like it's high. I think it's a good no call.
Especially since it looks like it's the same game as the previous slide that you were showing.
Game. It might have been this. Was it the same game? I don't know. I go back. There's some of these. Yeah, it was the same game. So same crew, same game. Whoop. We're just
Looks better than most screens you see.
What now? I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of kidding, but it looks better than most screens you see, really.
True. No, it's yeah, that is true. Let's go to the next one. So here's one. I forget where this one's at. The lead got this. Lead's down here. The lead got this one right up outside the elbow, a little bit outside his PCA. And here it is, right? So did the screener create the contact? Was there enough contact? To me, it looks like the screener did initiate contact going in. So it's probably a good call. I mean, that's tough to get, but if you watch, it does look like he kind of chucked him a little bit.
Yeah.
Depends on the game. I mean, what's the temperature of the game to that point?
Right.
If you've had a lot of bull crap, then absolutely bang that 100% of the time. That could also be a talk to, in my opinion.
Right. It's tough. He really, and he, 25, it looks like, 25 took the brunt of it. It wasn't just running in and bouncing off. It was kind of a chuck. So, and again, good off-ball officiating by the lead, who's getting that. It's a little bit outside the lead's PCA. So I don't know. Is this a 2-person? I think it's a 2-person crew. I don't think there's a center official over here. So the lead's got to help out with that. Now, the only problem I have with this is where's the throw-in spot? Where's the foul happen? The foul happens right here.
Baseline.
2-person crew. We not only it's on the end line, but it's on the opposite side of the block. So where's the proper throw-in spot for this?
Sideline.
If it happens at the elbow, it comes down here where the lead is right now. It happened outside the elbow. This has got to come to the sideline. This throw-in should be over here.
Let's see. Run it again.
So look where the foul happens. The foul happens.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's on the 3-point line.
Yeah, at the 3-point line, that's got to come out to the sideline. So again,
Good
great
point.
foul call, but we screwed up the inbounds. Again, some people say that doesn't really matter much. Well, it does, because if the other team's pressing, time on the clock. I mean, in this case, they have a shot clock in this particular conference. It looks like. So, you got to get throw-in spots right. So this one, I wanted to highlight that throw-in spot. And the calling official is responsible for letting his partner know, hey, we're throwing the ball in over here. That's where that happened. So
We got a different mechanic this year, right? For the signal. Didn't I just see a NHS bulletin saying that we're not doing that?
To look at.
I believe they're going straight to the offensive foul signal. It's no longer gonna be just the hand coming out with the closed fist. It's gonna be the offensive foul, like charging type of
hand behind the head. I got to look. I haven't had a chance to look at the.
It's going to be the player control foul signal for both.
Both, right? That's right.
Unless Michigan changes it.
Yeah.
No, that's correct. Player control foul for both.
Both. So no longer punching. It'll just be, got a foul. So hand straight up and then hand behind the head.
Direction. And then direction, yeah.
in direction. But after you call it, you got to let your partner know where the throw-in spot is, and they got the throw-in spot wrong. And again, the only people in the gym that know that is a fellow official who happens to, really be particular about throw-in spots. So I happened to notice that, and I wanted to point it out. So, but I thought it was a good call. Good call. Same game. 23 setting it up top. Anything wrong with that screen up top?
Nope.
Technically, isn't that a back screen?
Let's look at it again. Outside his visual field. Did he give him a step?
No.
Kind of ran right up on him. So
Yeah.
coulda, shoulda, maybe been an illegal screen because he didn't give him that one normal step.
Play it again.
It's a high screen.
And it even looks like he leans into him a little bit.
He does lean into him a little bit. Can the official see the screen coming? Probably, or they might be straight line. Based on where the official is hard to see, he might be straight line.
Right, he's right there.
But I mean, I think he's looking through the dribbler. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to tell what he's able to see. But that probably is an illegal screen. I mean, you can't see the red bench down there. Kind of rolled. Was there an advantage? That's a tough one.
Yeah. Hey,
What is the legal action here? I may be in the minority, but this looks very marginal to me.
Yeah, he didn't give him one. I don't think he gave him one normal step when he set the screen because it's outside his visual field.
yeah, hey, Decker.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are talking. You're talking about that outside the visual for the defender to see.
Correct.
These screens, the majority of them, except that one in the girls' games, have been set mostly on the side, and I would question as to whether or not that's outside somebody's visual field. If you play this one, at least it looks like it in slow. If you could slow motion it, to me, it looks like he sets this one mostly on the side.
Right.
And that one, you'd have to contend that that's within his visual field. Yay.
This one?
See,
that's behind the guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of his back quarter. So, I mean, and again, the rule does that, front or side and then behind, and then, okay, well, what's really behind? I mean, that's where I think, as officials, our judgment comes and we look at and saying, and again, perhaps that advantage, I mean, is there a significant advantage gain? What was the physicality of the contact? That type of stuff. So, and screening stuff is hard. It's hard, but it's absolutely essential that again, if you don't call this one, is there going to be a train wreck? A lot of people upset. Probably not. You might get some questions, but you have rule book support. But again, game temperature. This is a 50-47 game. We don't know the foul counts. We don't know what's been called before. The one earlier we did see in this game where the guy got chucked, so clearly that was being called. There wasn't as much physical contact on this one. So I think a no call here is okay. But again, this is tough business. I think this might be on the. Here's another pick and roll. I say pick, kind of the pick question mark.
Well, you'd really have to leave that one alone.
I mean, I'll play it again here. How much contact was there? He set it. It kind of bounced off right through it. I mean, how much contact was there?
It almost looked like he whiffed.
Yeah, it's almost like he wanted to set it and said, I got to roll before I said it.
But I think he still came to a jump stop, and that's kind of being set for your pick before rolling.
He was, yeah, I mean, and did it really knock 12 off a path? Was a little bit, but there was another player that, I mean,
Well, again, previously, the benchmark is, did the guy make contact? He did. It was a lousy pick.
right.
He was outside his shoulders. He wasn't squared up. I don't know if the guy didn't have a step. And I think one of the key things here too is someone should ask at some point in time, coaches, what do they think a legal pick is? Because I think coaches tell guys you make contact.
Right.
When in actuality you shouldn't. If in all these, if the person stopped a step away, they'd get the same result and there'd be no contact.
Well, but oftentimes there will be because you're setting it short, and then as the as the dribbler is moving, the defender moves into the screener. And the key thing in the rule is that when setting the screen, you have to set it short of contact. You can't move into the person while you're setting it.
Well,
so
yeah, and you tell me this guy didn't jump into the defender.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, it's close.
Yeah.
Again, rapid, quick pace game, a lot of athletes. I'm probably okay with no whistle on this one. But
If
again,
we gotta debate some of these screens that I'm seeing that you're putting up, they're just marginal. If we got to go back and forth and really debate it,
yeah, that's another point.
there's nothing there. I mean, let's just move on and manage the game. Just be good game managers. If we look at this stuff and we call everything, it's gonna be a long night, and the coaches aren't gonna like it either. So get what you got to get. The obvious. If it's marginal, let it go. No sense in putting air in the whistle on those.
Again, if we've got people chucking people, or the case where the number 20, the shorter guard is moving into the person, and there's the post player getting a huge advantage on the roll to the hoop, those are the ones you got to get. Something like this, again, I agree. This one I don't think you put air in a whistle, because that one, long night. So here's another.
Those calls on those type of screens are flow killers to the game.
Right. So
you're not going to gain anything but calling those. You're going to lose the flow of the game, and nobody's going to enjoy it.
So here's another one. We'll play this one. 3-person crew. Watch down here. We've got. What about that one? Watch the player here. Feet shoulder width apart.
No.
Not at all.
Moved right into the player. This center official, I think, has got to get that one. This is a foul. This is a foul. Now, perhaps you look at this play, and I can pause it right there.
I think White is up 36-13 in this game. Does that make
correct?
So maybe the ref is letting it go because they're down 20 in the third. Doesn't justify it, but
yeah, and especially as bad as this one seems to be, and as obvious as this one seems to be. Now, I think the league could have probably started rotating a little bit earlier, because we know where the ball is. The ball's so, I don't think the league could help out with this, but. The league gets there a little sooner. That's a stretch though for the league, but the center's got to get this. The center's got this. The center's on ball, so the center's got the ball and the screen, which is maybe one of the reasons. I think it's a she. She missed it. I don't know, but that's pretty bad in terms of setting. Yeah, it's away from the basket. There's a switch coming with the big guy, but that's. The screener did hedge. The screener, and again, maybe the lead should rotate a little sooner and get it over there a little quick. I don't know. It's tough to. Again, we're armchair quarterback in this type stuff, but I think this is our last one. I think. And watch this, our last one. So here, watch this player on top. There, comes over here. So here's the first one. Anything there? Second one. Thoughts on this one?
I got nothing. She
I got
bounces off of
nothing either.
one, gets to the other. I got nothing.
Stopping short of contact.
Looks like all good rotation.
Nothing.
Yep. And that is it. So to summarize our last few minutes here, of all the rules, there are 3 key principles, if you will. The screener is never allowed to be the one who causes contact. So you have to either stop short of contact within the visual field, or you have to stop, one normal step if you're outside the visual field, or when moving, that time and distance, 1 to 2 normal steps. So the screener can never initiate. There will be contact, but the screener can't initiate it, which is why that one foul was called with the guy coming up and doing it. The player being screened is supposed to avoid contact. You can't, force that. They're supposed to go around, not through the screen. You will see inadvertent contact. That is okay. And then with that, you're supposed to go around, not through. If you try to go through, that's a foul. So these I think, to summarize, these are the 3 key principles when officiating screens that are important. Screener can't create contact. Players are supposed to go around the screens, not through them, and they certainly can't push through them with physical force. So, and with that, are there any questions or comments?
Good job, Decker. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Good job.
Whoever, well, I thought that was Brent. I didn't know. So
Very informative, Decker. Very good.
oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We will have, this has been recorded. It will be released on July 31st with the rest of our Officiate Michigan Day presentations. Some will include general officiating. Some will be sport specific. So we're looking forward to another basketball presentation hopefully this week. So keep your eyes and ears open, and we will look for those invitations. And I hope that you can join us again. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Hey, Decker, hang on a minute.
Sure.
Hey, Decker, this is Renee Collins. I'm Bill's wife, and he's been watching this